They'll regret the day they treated my gift like garbage. I whispered, fingers trembling against the elegant silver wrapping. I'm Amelia, 27, lead developer at Nova Tech, and perpetual disappointment to my parents. Tonight was supposed to be different. Tonight was supposed to be when they finally saw me. The upscale Seattle restaurant hummed with conversation as my parents' retirement party reached its peak. I stood alone near the bar, watching my carefully chosen gift collect dust on the gift table. Amelia, come join us. My mother called, her smile never reaching her eyes when directed at me. I navigated to where my brother Nathan stood with our parents, his wife Jennifer smiling smugly beside their prominently displayed bouquet. There she is, our computer whiz, my father announced. Still playing with those codes? I forced a smile. Still developing software solutions that increased company revenue by 30% last quarter. His eyes glazed over. Yes, well. Nathan just closed that Peterson account. 7 figures. He clapped my brother's back, beaming. I swallowed hard and placed my gift on the table. I brought you something for your retirement. My mother eyed the box. Oh, how thoughtful. She made no move to open it. My father glanced dismissively. Is this really all you could afford? I suppose software development isn't as lucrative as we thought. Guests nearby fell silent. Heat rose to my cheeks, the familiar sting of rejection burning under my skin. I guess you won't want what's inside then, I replied, struggling to keep my voice steady. Don't be so sensitive, my mother sighed, pushing my gift aside without opening it. We're just teasing. 5 years ago, I might have believed her. But that was before my college graduation, before the empty seats in the front row reserved for them. I'd been valedictorian for my computer science program. 30 minutes before the ceremony, a text arrived, caught up with Nathan's promotion party. Sorry to miss it. Aunt Heather found me crying afterward. They're missing out on knowing an incredible young woman, she said. Uncle Peter took photos of me receiving my diploma, standing where my parents should have been. Now, watching my parents dismiss my gift, something crystallized inside me. The vacation home deed inside that box represented not just the $115,000 and months of renovation work, but the last of my hope they would ever truly see me. I walked toward Aunt Heather and Uncle Peter. They alone knew what was in that gift box. They didn't even open it, I said quietly. Uncle Peter put his arm around my shoulders. Their loss, kiddo. I spent every weekend for 3 months renovating that place, I whispered. I installed high-speed internet so they could video call Nathan's kids from the sunroom. My phone buzzed with a notification from my real estate agent. Final paperwork processed. Property officially transferred to your name. Congratulations. The irony wasn't lost on me. The beach house on the San Juan Islands was legally mine, while my parents dismissed it as worthless. Growing up meant living in Nathan's shadow. While he received new sports equipment, I saved babysitting money for my first computer. When I showed interest in programming at 12, my father dismissed it as a phase. Computers are for people who can't work with people, he said when I announced my major. Despite their disapproval, I excelled. I graduated top of my class, secured a position at Nova Tech, and climbed the corporate ladder rapidly. With each achievement, I'd call my parents hoping for approval that never came. That's nice, dear, my mother would say before changing the subject to Nathan's latest accomplishment. Only Aunt Heather and Uncle Peter showed genuine interest in my career. They attended my graduation when my parents were too busy with Nathan's engagement party. When my parents mentioned dreams of retiring to the coast, I saw my opportunity. Grandmother's inheritance gave me the down payment. I spent weekends renovating the beach house, making it perfect for them. During those months, I imagined their faces when they opened the box containing the deed. I decorated the master bedroom in my mother's favorite blues, stocked my father's bar with his preferred scotch. Nathan approached with a fresh glass of wine. They're in rare form tonight. They're consistent, I'll give them that, I replied. What did you get them anyway? He gestured toward the neglected box. I hesitated. Just something I thought they'd like. As the evening progressed, I retreated to the venue's outdoor patio. Aunt Heather joined me at the railing. Are you okay? She asked. Just needed some air. I know what's in that box. She touched my arm gently. You can't let them treat you this way. I sighed. It doesn't matter anymore. It does matter. What you did was incredibly generous. The door opened. My mother emerged, slightly tipsy from champagne. There you are. We're about to cut the cake. She glanced at Aunt Heather with annoyance. Are you filling Amelia's head with your nonsense again, Heather? Aunt Heather stiffened. Susan, your daughter got you something special. Maybe you should open her gift before assuming. Oh please, my mother waved dismissively. Whatever's in that box is probably some tech gadget we don't need. I felt something crack inside me. Mom, you haven't even opened it. I don't need to, she smoothed her dress. We don't need cheap gifts from someone who chose the easy path. The easy path? Years of coding all-nighters, sacrificed weekends, skipped vacations, none of that registered as hard work to her. Susan, that's enough, Aunt Heather said, her voice tight. My mother's expression hardened. Stay out of this, Heather. Just because you never had children doesn't mean you can mother mine. The cruel barb landed on Aunt Heather, who had suffered through multiple miscarriages. She visibly flinched. Mom. I gasped. What? It's true. She turned to me. You should be inside celebrating with us. Your brother gave a beautiful toast that you missed. I'll be in shortly, I said quietly. My mother huffed, then returned inside. Aunt Heather and I stood in stunned silence. I'm so sorry, I finally whispered. Don't apologize for her, Aunt Heather said. Peter and I have always been proud of you. The way they treat you, it's not right. Inside, my father's voice thanked everyone for coming, especially his successful son who had followed in his footsteps. No mention of me. I glanced at my phone, at the property notification. All that money, all that effort, all that hope, wasted on people who couldn't see past their own prejudice. I think, I said slowly, a plan forming, I need to make some changes. Aunt Heather squeezed my hand. Whatever you decide, Peter and I are behind you. I nodded, a sense of clarity washing over me. It wasn't revenge I wanted, just a rebalancing of accounts long overdue. The next morning, I drove to my parents' house in Bellevue with the gift box they had ignored. My father answered the door in golf attire, checking his watch. Amelia? I'm heading to the club. Can this wait? No, I stepped inside uninvited. 27 years of being treated like I don't matter can't wait anymore. My mother appeared in her silk robe. Don't be dramatic. What's wrong? This, I thrust the box forward. You dismissed my gift without opening it. You humiliated me. It's just a gift, my father shrugged. Open it. Now. My mother reluctantly took the box. When she saw the envelope inside, she looked confused. What's this? A gift card? Read it. She opened the envelope and pulled out the deed. Her expression shifted from skepticism to shock. A property deed? A beach house on the San Juan Islands, I confirmed. The one you always wanted. Fully paid off, renovated, and furnished. My parents stared at me, their attitudes instantly transforming. Amelia, this is incredibly generous, my father exclaimed, abandoning his golf plans. When can we see it? We could go today. It's beautiful, my mother gushed over the photos. Wait until we tell everyone. Tell everyone what? I interrupted. That your disappointment of a daughter actually did something worthwhile? We never said you were a disappointment, my mother protested. Not directly, but you've shown it my entire life. That's unfair, my father said. We've always supported you. When? When you skipped my graduation. When you dismissed my career achievements while celebrating Nathan's every minor success. My mother's expression hardened. If you're going to be ungrateful about our reaction, maybe you shouldn't have given us anything. I reached for the deed, but she pulled back. This is our gift now. Actually, the transfer isn't complete until you sign the acceptance forms. Those papers just show intent to gift. A lie, but they didn't know. What are you saying? My father demanded. I'm reconsidering my gift. The room temperature seemed to drop. My mother paled while my father reddened with anger. You can't dangle a gift like this and then take it back, he sputtered. Why not? You rejected it before knowing what it was. That was different, my mother insisted. We didn't know it was something so substantial. The implication was clear, the value of the gift determined their response, not the thought behind it. So my worth to you depends on what I can provide? I asked. That's not what I meant, she backpedaled. We just didn't realize you were so successful. I've been telling you about my promotions for years. You never listened. Technology jobs are confusing, my father defended. We never understood what you were talking about. You never tried. Aunt Heather and Uncle Peter figured it out. My mother scowled at the mention of her sister-in-law. Of course Heather would encourage your rebellious streak. Rebellious? Is that what you call my career and independence? My phone buzzed with texts from Nathan. Mom's messaging about a beach house. What's going on? She's asking if I want to use it summers. Says it's big enough for my family plus them. They were already dividing my gift, ensuring Nathan benefited equally. I showed my father the messages. See? Nothing's changed. I'm just the bank that finances your dreams. We're excited about possibilities, he defended. Nathan has children who would enjoy the beach. That's enough, my mother snapped. Either give us the house properly or take it back. In that moment, everything crystallized. I didn't want revenge, I wanted to stop participating in a dynamic that would never change. Keep the deed, I surprised them, but understand what comes with it. Meaning, my father asked. I'm done trying to earn your approval. The house is my final attempt. Enjoy it, but don't expect anything more from me. You're cutting us off over one misunderstanding? My mother looked incredulous. It's a lifetime of misunderstandings. I moved toward the door. The keys are in the envelope. The alarm code is your anniversary. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed repeatedly. I ignored it all. I'd given them what they wanted, but on my terms. I felt not satisfaction but something like freedom. At a downtown coffee shop, I stared at my property management portal, where one click could revoke their access. After 3 espressos, I returned Aunt Heather's call. What happened? She asked. Your mother called me hysterical about a beach house. I explained the confrontation. Letting them keep the house seems like surrendering, she worried. I'm not surrendering. I'm setting boundaries. They get the house, but not me on their terms. They don't deserve such a gift after how they've treated you. She was right, but something held me back. Perhaps lingering hope things might change, or fear of permanently severing our connection. I remembered my 12th birthday when I'd asked for a computer but received a tennis racket. Computers are for boys, my mother had said. That night, Uncle Peter sneaked me a refurbished laptop. Don't tell your parents, he whispered. On that computer, I wrote my first line of code. My phone rang again. Nathan. What's going on? He demanded. Mom and Dad think you're taking back the beach house. I haven't decided, I admitted. Jesus, Amelia. You give a gift then threaten to take it back. They rejected it before knowing what it was, I reminded him. They only want it now because it's expensive. They were just surprised by your generosity. Were they surprised when they immediately planned how your family would use it? Silence. Then, softer, look, they're trying now. They want a family dinner tonight at the beach house. A fresh start. They're already using the house? Without confirmation. They drove out this morning, he admitted. Mom called it a dream come true. They're inviting everyone, he continued. Even Aunt Heather and Uncle Peter. Mom apologized to Heather for what she said at the party. That caught my attention. My mother rarely apologized for anything. What's really happening, Nathan? There might be an issue with the transfer. Dad couldn't reach your lawyer. Because there isn't one, I admitted. The house is still legally mine. The notification confirmed my ownership, not a transfer. So you could take it back? Yes. Will you? The beach house represented years of work and savings. But it also represented my attempt to buy my parents' approval, a pattern I needed to break. My laptop chimed with an email from Golden Horizon Realty, confirming your interest in listing the coastal property. Our agent can meet tomorrow to discuss. I didn't remember contacting them. Had I clicked something accidentally? Amelia. Nathan pressed. My phone indicated another call, Aunt Heather. I need to take this, I told him. Amelia, Heather said immediately, whatever you're planning, I want you to know something. What? Peter and I have always dreamed of retiring to the coast too. Everything suddenly clicked into place. The next evening, I drove to the beach house with Nathan following. I'd asked him not to tell our parents I was coming. When we arrived, their car was already there, along with Heather and Peter's sedan. Through the windows, I could see them touring the house, my mother gesturing excitedly. Are you sure about this? Nathan asked as we approached. Completely, I replied. I used my key to enter. My parents froze mid-tour. Amelia. My mother looked startled. You came. I wanted to see how you were enjoying the place. It's perfect, my father gushed. You did an amazing job with the renovations. We were just telling Heather and Peter about our summer plans, my mother added. I nodded, moving to the center of the living room. Nathan watched nervously from the doorway. I'm glad you like it, I said. But there's been a misunderstanding. I pulled out a folder with the property documents. The house isn't yours. It never was. The transfer wasn't complete. The room fell silent except for the distant sound of waves crashing against the shore. My parents stared at me, their expressions transforming from confusion to disbelief. What do you mean it isn't ours? My father finally managed, his voice barely above a whisper. I placed the folder on the coffee table, spreading out the documents that proved the property remained legally mine. The transfer was never completed. I'm the sole legal owner of this house. My mother collapsed onto the sofa, her face ashen. This is absurd. You're trying to punish us. No, I said calmly. I'm making a choice. I turned to Aunt Heather and Uncle Peter, who stood watching with a mixture of surprise and understanding. The house belongs to you now. I've already started the transfer process. The shock in the room was palpable. Nathan stepped forward from his position by the door, eyes wide. Amelia, you can't be serious. I've never been more serious in my life, I replied. You can't do this, my father said, his voice breaking. We already told everyone. We've made plans. Actually, I can, I handed the folder to Uncle Peter. Consider it a gift for the only parental figures who ever truly supported me. My mother found her voice, high and strained. After all we sacrificed for you. What exactly did you sacrifice? I interrupted. You paid for Nathan's education but made me work through college. You attended his games and ceremonies but were too busy for mine. You dismissed my career, my choices, and my gifts. The truth hung in the air between us, undeniable. Nathan approached cautiously. Amelia, maybe there's a compromise. There's no compromise needed, I stated firmly. Mom and Dad got exactly what they wanted at the retirement party, the satisfaction of publicly dismissing me. And now I get what I want, the knowledge that this house will be appreciated by people who deserve it. Uncle Peter squeezed my shoulder. We're proud of you, Amelia. Not just for this, but for standing up for yourself. My parents began gathering their things, the dream of their beach house retreat crumbling before their eyes. You'll regret this, my mother warned as they headed for the door. I don't think I will, I replied calmly. After they left, Nathan lingered. That was harsh. That was necessary, I corrected. For all of us. He ran a hand through his hair, clearly uncomfortable. Look, I know they haven't always been fair to you, but this feels extreme. Does it? I asked. Tell me honestly, Nathan. How many times have you seen them dismiss my accomplishments while celebrating yours? He couldn't meet my eyes. It's not my fault they treat us differently. No, it's not, I agreed. But you've never once stood up for me. Not when they missed my graduation for your promotion party. Not when they ignored my promotion to senior architect but threw you a party for closing the Henderson deal. Not even last night, when they publicly humiliated me. His face flushed. That's not fair. Actually, it's perfectly fair. You've benefited from their favoritism your entire life, Nathan. You stood by and watched while they treated me like an afterthought. You may not have caused the problem, but you were complicit in it. He stared at me for a long moment. So what now? You're cutting off the entire family. I'm redefining family, I corrected him. Real family supports you, believes in you, celebrates your victories. Real family shows up. Uncle Peter cleared his throat. Your sister has made her decision, Nathan. I think it's time you respected it. Nathan looked between us, a complex mix of emotions crossing his face. Without another word, he walked out. As I stood on the deck later that evening, watching the moonlight on the waves with Aunt Heather and Uncle Peter, a weight seemed to lift from my shoulders. The house had found its rightful owners, and I had finally freed myself from the exhausting pursuit of approval I'd never receive. Are you sure about this? Aunt Heather asked, joining me at the railing. This house represents a significant investment. I've never been more sure of anything, I replied. Money can buy a lot of things, but it can't buy self-respect. That, I had to find on my own. Uncle Peter joined us, handing me a glass of wine. I remember the day I brought you that laptop for your birthday, he said with a smile. Your eyes lit up like it was Christmas morning. That laptop changed my life, I told him. If you hadn't believed in me then, I might have given up on computers altogether. We always knew you were special, Aunt Heather said. Not because of what you could give us, but because of who you are. My phone buzzed in my pocket, another text from Nathan, Mom and Dad are devastated. They want to talk. Can you at least hear them out? I showed the message to Uncle Peter and Aunt Heather. They're not devastated about losing me, I explained. They're devastated about losing the beach house. What will you say? Aunt Heather asked. I considered for a moment. Nothing, for now. They need to understand that there are consequences to how they've treated me all these years. 2 days later, I was back at work, immersed in code, when my phone rang. The office receptionist informed me that my parents were in the lobby, insisting on seeing me. Tell them I'm in a meeting, I replied, then hung up. 10 minutes later, my direct line rang. Amelia, my father's voice was uncharacteristically deferential. We need to talk about what happened. I'm working, Dad. Some of us have jobs we take seriously. Please, he begged. Your mother is beside herself. We've made a terrible mistake. You've made a lifetime of mistakes, I replied. Forgetting my high school graduation. Missing my college valedictorian speech. Dismissing every career achievement I've ever had. Humiliating me at your retirement party. Which mistake are you referring to exactly? There was silence on the other end. Then, all of it. We've been blind. No, you've been selfish. There's a difference. Can we meet somewhere? Please? We want to make this right. I almost laughed. You want the beach house back, you mean? No, we want our daughter back, he insisted. The house doesn't matter. Funny how you only realized I mattered after I took away something you valued. That's not fair. No, what's not fair is how you've treated me my entire life. What's not fair is that it took me giving away a beach house for you to even consider that you might have been wrong. Please, Amelia. Just coffee. That's all we're asking. I sighed, considering my options. Fine. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. The coffee shop on 4th and Pine. 30 minutes, that's all you get. The next morning, I arrived at the coffee shop 5 minutes late, making a point. My parents were already there, looking anxious and out of place among the young professionals typing on laptops. My mother had clearly been crying, her usual perfect makeup slightly smudged. Amelia, she stood up as I approached. Thank you for coming. I sat down without embracing her. I have a meeting at 11, so let's not waste time. My father cleared his throat. We've been doing a lot of thinking about how we've treated you over the years. And? I asked, keeping my expression neutral. We were wrong, my mother said, her voice breaking slightly. We favored Nathan. We dismissed your accomplishments. We weren't good parents to you. No, you weren't, I agreed. We want to make amends, my father continued. We want to be part of your life. What changed? I asked pointedly. Because I've been the same person for 27 years. I've achieved success in my field, created financial stability for myself, and built a life I'm proud of, all without your support. So what's different now? They exchanged uncomfortable glances. We realized what we were losing, my mother finally said. No, you realized what you had already lost, I corrected her. There's a difference. Can you ever forgive us? My father asked. I studied their faces, searching for sincerity. Forgiveness has to be earned, I told them. And trust, once broken, doesn't mend easily. What can we do? My mother looked desperate. Please, just tell us. That's the problem, I said quietly. You want me to give you a roadmap to absolution? A checklist you can complete to erase decades of hurt? It doesn't work that way. I stood up, gathering my things. I need to go. Wait, my father reached for my arm. What about the beach house? We told everyone. There it was. The real reason for this meeting. The beach house belongs to Uncle Peter and Aunt Heather now, I stated firmly. My gift to them is final. If you're concerned about what people will think, consider it a valuable lesson in humility. As I walked out, I felt lighter than I had in years. For the first time in my life, I wasn't seeking my parents' approval or trying to prove my worth to them. I had finally accepted a truth that had been staring me in the face for decades. I didn't need them to see my value for it to exist. Sometimes the most valuable gift isn't what you give to others, but what you finally allow yourself to receive, the permission to stop trying to earn love that should have been freely given all along. 6 months later, I received a text from Jennifer, Nathan's wife. We need to talk about your parents. After ignoring several calls, I finally answered. Your parents are staying with us since selling their house, Jennifer explained. They're broke. And I'm pregnant. They're already planning our baby's entire life, and Nathan can't stand up to them. My perfect brother was finally experiencing our parents' toxicity firsthand. Meet with him, Jennifer pleaded. The pregnancy has made him see things differently. Nathan looked terrible when we met at a coffee shop. Mom and Dad have been staying with us, he said. Nothing is ever good enough. The guest room, the food, my job, they criticize everything. Welcome to my entire childhood. I had no idea it was this bad, he admitted. They redesigned Jennifer's baby announcement without permission and sent it to everyone. They're planning a nursery in our house and discussing preschools. He pushed an envelope across the table. Grandmother's letters to you. Mom kept them hidden for years. Why give these to me now? Because you were right about them. Jennifer's threatening to leave if they don't move out, but they have nowhere to go. Not my problem. I'm not asking you to help them. I'm asking how to break free. I almost laughed. The golden child wanted my advice. Cut them off completely. His face fell. I can't do that. Then you'll never be free. 2 weeks later, Jennifer called again. Nathan tried setting boundaries. Your mother had a meltdown. Your father threatened to disown him. They're suggesting we name the baby after your father to heal the family rift. Soon after, Nathan texted, I need your help. When we met at my apartment, Nathan looked desperate. I told them they have to move out, he said. They're refusing, reminding me of everything they sacrificed for me: college, sports camps, my first car. All things they denied me, I pointed out. I know. I want to make things right with you. I'll help on one condition: you tell them, publicly, exactly how they've favored you and mistreated me. To their faces, in front of our extended family. He swallowed hard. They'll never forgive me. That's the point. Their love is conditional. The confrontation happened on Sunday at Nathan's house. Our parents, Nathan and Jennifer, Aunt Heather and Uncle Peter, and me, all gathered under the pretense of discussing the baby. Before we discussed the baby, Nathan began, I need to address something important. Our parents smiled, expecting grandparent news. You've always treated Amelia and me differently, Nathan stated firmly. You paid for my education but made her work. You attended my games but missed her graduation. You celebrated my accomplishments while dismissing hers. Dad's face darkened. What nonsense. It's the truth, Nathan interrupted. I've benefited from your favoritism and I was too comfortable to challenge it. You intercepted grandmother's letters to Amelia for years, he continued. That's not just wrong, it's criminal. The room fell silent. We gave you everything, Dad sputtered. You gave me everything and Amelia nothing, Nathan replied. And now you're trying to control my child. You need to leave our house by the end of the week. This is her doing, Mom hissed, glaring at me. No, this is me finally seeing the truth. If you walk out that door, Nathan warned as they prepared to leave, you won't be welcome around my child. Ever. They left anyway. Jennifer squeezed Nathan's hand. I'm proud of you. Nathan looked at me. I'm sorry it took me so long. 1 year later, I held Nathan and Jennifer's baby girl at Uncle Peter and Aunt Heather's beach house. They had named her Eleanor, after our grandmother. Any word from Mom and Dad? Nathan asked. Not since that demand letter claiming emotional distress. They sent a birthday card for Eleanor with conditions for re-establishing grandparent relationships. I returned it unopened. Aunt Heather raised her glass. To family, the ones we choose, not just the ones we're born to. Later that evening, I received a text from Nathan with a photo of Eleanor wearing a onesie that said, My aunt is my hero. Sometimes justice isn't about revenge. Sometimes it's about breaking cycles and creating a new family story for those who come after us.